Hello folks, this is Sula speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. This is taken from a normal game, and this is going to be a bit of a more relaxed game. In this, we're going to be looking at playing tempo, focusing on positioning, and working on how to get the most out of a laser core comp. But since we need to give this video a better title for YouTube, we'll call this How to Train Your Hackerim, just because there's going to be a lot of use of the hacker trait in this game, although more towards the second half of this one. Now, I haven't been playing quite as many games of Teamfight Tactics. I don't particularly care for the patch that we are on right now. This is basically the Set, Misfortune, and Samira patch. We were on a very lengthy Yuumi patch. It was kind of like Yuumi and Jax were the kind of the featured units. We were on that for about over a month. And then this was the net result following that, and it really has not been a very satisfying patch whatsoever to play, just because a handful of units are very, very overtuned, and most of the gameplay is typically just based on playing those units as much as possible, shoving Misfortune into any comp possible, particularly Misfortune, also Samira to a lesser extent, and then people playing Set Mech frontline, because the Set Mech is really the dominant frontline in this patch. There was a little B patch that had some nerfs, but none of them were significant enough to affect the kind of wider metagame picture in this patch. The Set Mech is still the strongest frontline, and Misfortune, Samira, 4 aces is still kind of the dominant endgame board that just easily beats everything else. So it's been kind of a frustrating patch, just not really that interesting, honestly. Not really that much fun. A lot of it has just been determined of, oh, someone hits a Misfortune at level 5 on 2% odds. Okay, guess they just win streak all the way through the next stage right now. People just way too strong. Their board's spiking way too hard when Misfortune 1-star is in there with just like basic itemization. So I haven't been enjoying this too much. Haven't been playing ranked games, just tossing in the odd game here and there. I've actually been using this time to try to play out some of the Lunar Festival missions, just because those things are kind of fun to do. I've done them in past years. But anyway, getting back to this game for a second, first augment is going to be Silver. I'll take Second Wind. I'm always pretty happy with Second Wind as a Silver augment. Silver augments tend to be fairly weak, but this one is not bad at all. So I'm just, trying to play kind of a normal game here. And when I see the Senna pop out from that last minion round, I was like, okay, I've got a Senna. I just randomed my way into a 2-star Ashe. Feels like this would be a good setup for a laser core game. So I'm going to go in that direction. Now, I don't actually have the laser core trait in at the moment, but all I need to do is find a Yasuo, or I guess it would mostly be a Yasuo. What other units could I potentially see for laser core that I'm missing? I think it's pretty much just a Yasuo. Oh, the other big one is Renekton. Yes, I would most like to find a Renekton, just so I could take out that Lee Sin and play Renekton for Brawler frontline, along with Ashe Senna. Basically, anytime Senna is an early drop, Laser Core is a team cut that you want to at least think about playing into, just because she's she's a 3-cost unit, and she's not a unit that you're likely to see too many of in the early going, but she tends to be a pretty solid unit, although might come out of the board later on, but probably can just stay on the board. And hopefully we'll be able to 2-star her. Ashe can be an early game item holder for Zed. And then we just need to build a tanky front line, and we've got a comp we're off and running. As far as items, I took my standard Giant's Belt off the initial carousel. I had a vest drop, so that was an easy Sunfire Cape decision to make there. I also have a leftover tier. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with this. By the way, there's another Ashe there. Don't know that I really want this another Ashe. I don't think I want to go for Ashe 3-star. Ashe is not a particularly strong unit in this patch. She was actually in the release of the very first release version of Set 8. Ashe was very strong, but that got nerfed almost immediately, and she's been relatively underpowered ever since. So yeah, anyway, I have this tier. That's about the only thing that's not ideal. That and the fact that I haven't found a Renekton or a Yasuo yet. I've got this tier sitting on my bench. I don't have a great use for this. This is a laser core comp is not a spellcasting comp. There's not much need for tiers in this. That said, there's kind of 2 things I can do with this. If I can get a glove, I could go ahead and make Edge of Night, which is a good item on Zed, if not an amazing item on Zed. By the way, I get great second wind value there. Blitzcrank gets low, but before he dies, second wind kicks in and heals him. Very nice. The other thing I could use the tier for is I could use it for a redemption, and that actually is a pretty good item at the moment. So particularly on units that have a very high amount of health, it's actually in pretty strong demand right now because so many people are playing set mech for their front line. Set mech gets a ton of HP, and Redemption heals for a percent of that HP and also gives damage reduction. So it's a good item to hold on to if you're playing a very, very tanky frontline. But if you're playing Laser Core, you're going to play Brawler frontline, and Brawlers also get a lot of extra HP, so Redemption would be pretty solid there as well. All right, I was able to win the first 2 rounds. Again, I think my board is solid, but not amazing. My board would be significantly stronger if that were a Renekton instead of a Lee Sin, but I have not managed to find Renekton yet, unfortunately. I also went ahead and grabbed a Rammus here on the bench. Rammus is a unit that could potentially go in on level up, just because I think I need frontline more than backline at the moment. I think my damage output is okay for this stage of the game, but my front line is a little sketchy. I'm really relying on second wind. It's one of the reasons why Lee Sin and Blitzcrank are split up. There we go. There's the second wind kicking in. I have them split up, so hopefully they will each tank damage instead of either one of them getting focused. And the hope is that way they will survive long enough for second wind to kick in. And the silver version of second wind heals for 40% of missing HP. So they get down to like a third of their health. They basically will go back up to like roughly 2/3, which is pretty good. Then I go ahead and sell the extra ash because that gets me to 10 gold. And hey, it's a good start. 3 rounds, 3 wins. Let's go. This is what you want to see. All right, that does mean, of course, I'm last pick. Now, I would happily take the spatula if it were there. I would love to get that. That would be one way to get Laser Core in play. Just make a Laser Core spat, but no, that's not going to happen. So with that in mind, what do I want to do with the leftover options? Well, as I said, a belt would not be bad to make use of that tier. Could make Redemption with it. That was one thing I was thinking of doing, but that gets taken. So out of the options here, I was like, oh, well, there's a Sona with a sword. So that's a 3 gold sword. That's definitely the best of these options I can do here. Don't want another tier. As I said, tiers are limited use in this board, but sword is great. Could be half of Edge of Night for future Zed. Could be a lot of different items. Could be Infinity Edge. Could be Bloodthirster. Like a lot of different potential things there. So we'll just, again, Ash is going to be item holder for Zed for the moment. So we'll just go ahead and... I was deciding, do I want to put this on center or Ash? I was like, Ash is the 2-star, and Ash is probably going to get sold. So we'll go ahead and put that on Ash. I was at 20 gold. I could have just sat at 20 gold, but I am also on a win streak. I'm hoping I can keep win streaking. So I'm going to go ahead and level. I'll put in the Rammus. And so Rammus is going to give me a little bit of extra frontline. This is more or less how the threats were kind of intended to be used in this set. Have not always been used that way, but like units you can splash in to fix an issue with your team. Like I'm lacking in frontline right now, so Rammus goes in, can just be the threat unit that gets splashed in. He tanks for, 8 seconds and then dies. And that's pretty much what I need him to do in this fight. So he's more or less exactly what I need. So even though this does mean that I... am going to not hit 20 gold, it does mean my win streak continues, and that's worthwhile. If I can keep the win streak going into the minion round, that is extremely valuable. Then there's also a Cho'Gath in the story, but there's a Yasuo here. Okay, so we'll play the Yasuo over the over the Rammus. And I've just picked up some Duelists because a Duelist could theoretically be the next unit onto the board out of these different options here. But I think I'd go ahead and sell the Fiora because I'd rather play the Neela, I think. And that still gets me to 20 gold. Okay, so I'm hoping I can win this round. I just don't really want to hit this person, Lorwick, who's also win streaking. I was like, please let me hit one of the other 2 boards, not the other person who's win streaking. But, well, we don't get that lucky, unfortunately. So this is the other board that's been strong. I'm a little bit surprised this person's full win streak. Their board does not look that strong. It's also mostly 1-stars. But, of course, my board is also mostly 1-stars. I do have the Laser Core trait in. Unfortunately, I don't have it on my main tank, Blitzcrank, because Blitzcrank is not a Laser Core unit. So this is a relatively close fight. Can Yasuo get off one more ult? Okay, he can. So it's a 2-on-2 here. But that is a 2-star Sivir, and I don't think Ash has got this, unfortunately. And it's close, but no, not quite enough. The Sivir with the Shojin apparently was healing that other team, and wow. And now I get the Blitzcrank, and now I get the Renekton. I was like, really? Oh, you couldn't have shown up 1 round earlier? If those units had been in my store 1 round earlier, I win that round easily, and that's actually worth a tremendous amount of money. The fact that that person is now on a 5-match winning streak, and mine was snapped at 4. So, like, that was a huge swing in the game right there. And I was like, geez, like really? I couldn't have had that 2-star Blitzcrank and the Renekton in 1 round earlier. Well, definitely would have won that round if that had been the case. But it's okay. We're still off in a good position here. Just, does cost me quite a bit of money that I lost that round. All right, so I am going to find, what is this? I get another tier, which is not what I want. And then I've also got this Lee Sin, and I get double Rivens. I was like, well, I'm going to sell the Lee Sin to get the 30 gold. We definitely want to do that. But then I've got these double Rivens. I was like, if I can hit the early Riven 2-star, I will definitely play that unit. But then, there's a Vayne in my store. I was like, well, I was going to play the Sivir for Sure Shot, but the Vayne is definitely better. So we'll go ahead, level to 6. I'm rich enough that I can do this. And Vayne puts in both Duelist and Recon, so that's definitely better. And then because I have double tiers, I have to use one of these tiers. So I'm going to go ahead and make the Edge of Night. Or not Edge of Night, the Hand of Justice right there. I could also sell the Rivens, but there's really no point in selling them. It only gets me to 28 gold. As I said, like I would play the Riven over the Renekton if I can hit it. Arguably should even do that right now because Riven is definitely a better unit than Renekton. The counter argument to that is that having Renekton in there is not bad, even though it's 4 laser core instead of 3 laser core. You might say, well, going up to 4 laser core doesn't do anything, but it actually does because each laser core unit gets a drone. So I think the fact that Renekton gets a drone makes this marginally better than playing the Riven, but it's pretty close between those two units. Like I said, the damage on the drone does not increase. The damage increases at Laser Core 3, at Laser Core 6. But you do get an additional drone there. All right, now we get another silver augment for the second one. And I was like, you know what? I think it's Future Sight here. I think we want the Future Sight. Just knowing who we can fight next is very valuable. And I also get the Zephyr, so now I can just mess around with people with the Zephyrs. If you watch a lot of Teamfight Tactics on live stream, you will typically see a lot of the high elo streamers. They just generally stay away from Future Sight because they find it to be, it's a lot of micro work. Like in order to get value out of this, you do have to do a lot of micro. You have to be really watching the other people's boards and positioning your Zephyr. And I can understand if you're someone who's playing this game 8 hours a day, every single day, that would get really tiring really fast, but I don't play 8 hours a day. I play just a handful of games. Like I might play 1 or 2 games a day, less than that over the course of a full week. So yeah, I can afford to put in the additional micro work, and that's what we're going to be doing in this game. So we're really going to be trying to focus on making good use of this Future Sight. We know who we're going to hit in every single round. We need to get good value out of this Zephyr. And we need to be able to be hitting key units on the enemy team with it each round. So this board that I just hit, there wasn't really an obvious target. I just decided to go for the Draven because Zephyring out a frontliner didn't really feel like it would do anything, given that that team was basically all frontliners. They also have, 5 items sitting on the bench unused. As I said, this is a normal lobby, so it's maybe not quite as difficult as some of these other lobbies that I've been seeing, particularly the double-up games that like Grillo and Antisocial and I have run. Those games are a lot harder. This game's more relaxing, but hey, sometimes it's fun to just play a more relaxing game. All right, so this next person, you can see I'm trying to click through these relatively quickly so people don't see me just standing there scouting their board. They're playing a Brawlers game, and they have a Jax. Actually playing Brawlers plus Underground, which is kind of interesting. So we definitely want to try to Zephyr out the Jax. That's the only unit that does any damage on this board. Everything else is just a bunch of tanks. I mean, I guess they have a 1-star Kayle and a 1-star Ezreal, but come on, those units don't actually deal damage, so just want to get the Jax. I will say that you often see in these normal games, you see people playing kind of outdated builds, like they maybe play the game not as seriously or just don't keep up with the news, so you see people running builds that are like a couple weeks out of date, and like this was a Jax build that, of course, was super popular on the long Yuumi patch, but not good anymore. Jax is now one of the worst units in the game. He got nerfed super duper hard. They buffed him a little bit in the most recent B patch, but in this patch he was not a good unit. So yeah, it's just the all brawlers with Jax carry is not really viable unless you high roll super hard and are completely uncontested. All right, well, here's our next carousel here, and there's actually 3 spatulas on this carousel. Now I am last pick, but anytime there's that many spatulas on the carousel, you actually have decent odds to get one of them. So I'm like, can I get another spatula here? I would actually love to make Laser Core spat. I actually have an extra sword. Remember, I took a sword off the last carousel, off that Sona. I was like, okay, yeah, let's do this. Just make a Laser Core emblem here, and I actually have a perfect unit to put it on, which is the Blitzcrank. If you may have watched, if you're watching this, I don't exactly get a ton of Oh, wow. And then I have a Sejuani in my star. I was like, oh, my God, this is perfect. All right, so we're going to make the Laser Core emblem. I'm going to put it on Blitzcrank, and now I'll take out the Vayne, and boom, now we're up to 6 Laser Core, just like that. So the big value of getting a Laser Core emblem is it lets you get 6 Laser Core in without finding both Sejuani and Zed. Normally, you need both Sejuani and Zed to get the 6 Laser Core in, or Mordekaiser, but of course, he's even harder to find. With the Laser Core emblem, you can run 6 Laser Core without needing both of those units. You only need one of those two, which is a big plus. Anyway, to get back to my point from before, as I said, I know probably like 100 people watch these videos. There's not a lot of people watching these, but I have stressed this in other Laser Core videos. Laser Core is basically a tank trait. It activates when Laser Core units either attack or get attacked, and then it has a half-second cooldown before it can trigger again. It's 50% chance anytime a unit attacks or gets attacked for the drone to fire a shot, and then it takes a half-second cooldown before it can activate again. So basically, it can trigger on units attacking, but it's much more likely to get trigger when units get hit. So your tanks are much more likely to activate this trait than your carries. So that's the reason why it tends to be better to put it on tank units. So right now, Blitzcrank is holding my tank items, so turning him into a Laser Core unit is fantastic. Now, of course, I have 3 Brawler in, which is a little bit awkward, but it's still really good for me to be playing this. The 6 Laser Core is a big spike. Big spike. I'll just read the official damage numbers in this patch. 3 Laser Core is 65 damage from the drones, but 6 is 165 damage on the drones. So yeah, 65 to 165. Again, that almost triples the damage. It's about 2.6, something like that, 2.7 times the damage. So it's a huge increase in the damage. And of course, there's just more drones in play too. When you're playing Laser Core 3, you usually have like 3, I think I had 4 drones in play because I had 4 units with the trait. Now I have 6 of them. So, 3 times 65 versus 6 times 165. Like, it's not even close. The damage is way higher. And I have it on a good unit, too. It's actually really nice that this is on the Blitzcrank. So I was able to win streak all the way through Stage 3. And again, if I had won that one round, I would be so much richer right now. That round that was really close, and I could have easily won if I had hit Blitz 2-star 1 round earlier. Yeah, if I had hit that, if I had hit the Blitzcrank 1 round earlier, I would probably have about 25 more gold than I do right now. I'd already be like halfway to level 8 right now. And I could probably go level 8 on 4-2. So instead of, like right now, I'm looking to go level 8 on 4-5. So it really does make a huge difference sometimes. That one round was like the biggest flip in terms of economy between me and that other player. But I can't complain after all. Like I said, I'm having a pretty good setup here. All right, now here's the bad news. I'm again not quite getting these items I want, but there's a Zed. Okay, well that's a high roll. I hit the Zed at 15% odds. So now we're going to get Zed on the board as well. So I just dumped Ash. I'm going to hold that extra Ash on my bench because, again, if I can get another Laser Core spatula item, another Laser Core emblem, I could look to play 9 Laser Core. It's not super likely, but it is possible. We do have an augment coming up. I would love to see like a +1 Laser Core augment pop up because then all I have to do is get to level 9 and field Mordekaiser, and I could have 9 Laser Core, which would be really awesome. Instead, though, I've got this person. I was scouting them before. This person who's running a 3-star mech Wukong, which is not something I've really seen before. Really interesting. There was actually a post on TFT Reddit about this. Someone said that this is more popular on the Chinese mobile server. Also said that some of the gameplay mechanics work a little bit different there. But this is not actually the way that person suggested building it. It's actually a pretty close round. I may have actually won this round if I had sent Zed after the Kale. Kale didn't do a lot of damage, but she did chip in like 1,000 extra damage. I actually sent Zed to the wrong side on the Hackerim. I sent him over to hit Draven and didn't realize that Draven was just going to get absorbed into the mech, so I sent him over to the wrong side. But I did hit my Zephyr on the mech, which was super key. Otherwise, that fight wouldn't have been even close. All right, now we have our third augment. It's a champion augment. It's a 3-cost augment, and I was like, oh, cool. I've got the Zoe support augment. I'm going to go ahead and take that one. You might have said, well, there's a Senna there, but it was the Senna carry augment. That makes Senna herself stronger. Wouldn't really have done much to my board. Senna's basically a trait bot on this setup. As for the Zoe support augment, this is actually quite nice to have. I will go ahead and find this one and then see if I can read the formal description here. Let me just look it up. All right, Zoe, sleepy time. Gain a Zoe, combat start. She puts to sleep the 3 lowest health enemies, stunning them for 4 seconds. So 3 lowest health enemies show stuns for 4 seconds. This is pretty nice because a lot of backline carries often tend to be the lowest health enemies on the other team. So it's pretty nice in that regard. Like, it's not going to be super helpful here against this board because, by the way, this person did reposition their jacks so that the Hackerim did not hit them. But like Zed's in the back line stabbing Kale and stabbing Ezreal. Not super important units, let's be clear, but still, not bad in the least. Most of the work in this fight right now is just being done by the laser core drones. Like Blitz just sits there absorbing damage. The laser core drones fire, and yeah, we're able to win that round pretty easily. Like I said, that's not a build that really makes much sense. One thing that's sad though is my items are kind of awkward here. Still got this tier I don't really have a use for, and then I also have a glove, and then I also have a vest. I was like, I'm not quite sure what I do with these. I still want to get more Zed items. Zed is my most important unit. I really do need to try to itemize him here. And then, oh my god, there's an Aphelios in my store. Okay, that's the high roll moment of the game. So anytime you have a great game, it does rely on getting lucky somewhere, and this is my big luck moment from the game. I hit the Aphelios at 1% odds. Now, Aphelios is not key to playing a laser core team. Normally, you wouldn't run Aphelios in this setup, but 2 things working in my advantage. Number 1 is I've got the laser core emblem. That means I don't have to run Ashe on my board right now. So like I basically can run 6 laser core with only 5 laser core units, which is super nice. That basically just gives me a free extra slot on my board right now. And the other reason is that Senna's on my board right now too. So, you know, I get the sure shot in. Not that it's super valuable, but I do get the sure shot trait in. And that's going to be enough to help me out in these fights. By the way, this person is trying to play the Aces board. Zed's over there by misfortune, but I actually made a mistake this round. I actually used the Zephyr to... Oh, no, actually I didn't. I used the Zephyr to take out the misfortune, but that actually worked out pretty well. So that person's getting pretty strong, but they're also down on 17 HP. Looks like their health might run out before they're able to put the board together. And yeah, I'm looking pretty good. Now I really want to make another Zed item. The best thing I can do is get either a sword to make Edge of Night with the vest, or if I can get a bow, then I can look to make Last Whisper. I really would like to get one of those 2 things. Unfortunately, I'm last pick because I've been doing well throughout this game. Also, a little bit unfortunate, there's a sword, but it was on Leona, so that gets snapped up. Then there's a bow on an Aphelios. I was like, well, I would sure like that too, but I cannot imagine I'm going to get an Aphelios. I would have taken that, and I probably would have just played it on the Aphelios. Look to make Aphelios 2-star. I'd have 2 out of 3 if that were the case. But the good news is there's another bow, or excuse me, another sword on Carousel. So we can just take the Neela, use the other sword, and then we can make Edge of Night and put it on Zed. Edge of Night is one of his most important items. All right, now I'm going to roll because I have quite a few pairs. There we go. I actually have 5 pairs right now, so I really need to try to hit some of these. Also, I find Echo, so that's the transition. Echo is usually the best unit to turn into a laser core, to put a laser core emblem on, who's not normally a laser core. And then we find make 2-star Zed, but I still do want to roll a little bit more here, and that's because I have so many pairs on my board. So I'm going to roll down to 10. I'll stop at 10. And then I'll roll again after the minion round. But like, look at this board. I have a pair of Sennas, a pair of Yasuos, a pair of Zoes, a pair of Sejuanis, and a pair of Echoes. I was like, Jesus Christ. This is the round where I made the mistake. This round, I needed to use my Zephyr on the set mech. I ended up having it on the Misfortune. That's actually because I was fiddling with my board. I didn't have time to scout properly. But I actually Zephyred out the Misfortune, so Zed was not able to kill her. And the set mech was the unit I needed to hit. Well, like I said, I was fiddling with my board there. That's the main reason why. But if I had put the Zephyr on the set mech and just lifted that unit up out of the way, Zed would have just killed the Misfortune. Instead, Misfortune was up on the Tornado, and it actually saved her life. So I was like, whoops. That's not quite what I wanted. But yeah, so you do have to be a little bit tricky with that. Anyway, the only 2-star I have on my entire board right now is Zed. So even though I would like to just try to push to level 9, I definitely cannot do that right now because I have so many 1-star units. I need to hit some of these pairs. All right. Now, that person that I lost to, Lurwick, that was the person I lost to at the end of Stage 2. Looks like I'm set to hit them again in this lobby, so I definitely want to make sure I can get a good Zephyr against this team. I'm going to try to take out their front line this time. Decided that that would be more valuable just because they have a 2-star Sejuani, but it's like, oh, look at this. And I do hit the Zephyr on the unit I wanted, but they actually shifted that Aphelios over. Good news is Zoe's passive, the Zoe support augment, actually sleeps the Aphelios for a while, and that actually is going to help a lot. So Zed was able to get into the back lines, even though he was misplaced. He should have been over on the left-hand side, not the right-hand side. He is killing the entire back line. And yeah, he's going to manage to do that. So now it looks like it's going to be down to just him and Sejuani. So who wins this fight? Well, I'm playing 6 laser cores, so look at all the drones I have. Yeah, I have all the drones. I have healing off the edge of night, off the, well, I keep making that mistake, off the hand of justice. So yeah, Zed gets all 6 drones, and that's going to be enough to power through the end of that fight. Now, if you're wondering, why is Edge of Night such an important item on Zed? This is the reason why. It's because it allows him to drop aggression when he gets focused in the fights, and then he can stack up all of those. Drones, and then he will be one of the last units alive in the fight with all those drones powering up and giving him additional damage. That's the logic anyway. He just gets focused way too easily without the Edge of Night. He tends to just get bursted down pretty quickly. All right, so again, still trying to find a use for this. Tier. There's a Fiddlesticks in my store, but I think it's better to play the Aphelios than it is to play the Fiddlesticks. That does make Sure Shot trait, and it also gives me another source of crowd control off the Aphelios ultimate. Now here are some interesting options. I could look to make a tank item. I could take the 2 cloaks and then put it on like Sejuani, but I was like, no, what I need more damage on Zed. Zed's my most important unit. So I'm going to go ahead and look to make Last Whisper on Zed. So now I'm going to roll. Again, I need to hit some of these units. I'm finally hitting some of my pairs, so this is good. I was able to hit the 2-star Echo. Now, Sejuani's really the one unit I'd like to hit. So do I roll a little bit more? I think I roll just a touch more. Oh, and all I can do now is make the Chalice. It's like, yeah, kind of a waste, let's be honest, but it's the only thing I could do with the items that were left over. All right, so now I'm up against the set mech, so the important thing to do is to make sure I'm Zephyring out the Wukong mech, excuse me. By the way, once again, I'm on wrong side with Zed. I really should be over on the other side, but by taking the Wukong up into the sky, that's really nice. We're able to focus on the rest of the team. The rest of the team is not really that threatening. The only other unit we really want to kill is the Gangplank, just because Gangplank does deal some damage. Gangplank has mostly tank items, though. Redemption, Quicksilver Sash, so not amazing. But yeah, we'd like to kill everything else. Zed is going to end up dying, but I do still have the Senna alive. She's got all 6 drones. Can the drones finish this off? Yes, they can. And again, one thing I've said before in these videos, Laser Corps teams can be deceptively strong when they're down to 1 or 2 units left because all the drones flock over to whoever is still alive. And Seta ended up getting all the drones, so she actually punched through and dealt quite a lot of damage there. All right, now we can stop rolling. I wanted to roll until I could hit the Sedge. I've got this. Everything's been upgraded now except Renekton and Yasuo. For some reason, I've only seen 1 Renekton the entire game, which is pretty crazy, but I've only seen 1. So now let's go to level 9. I don't know what I'm going to play at level 9, but maybe we can 2-star the Aphelios and then just play random legendary stuff. All right, I'm also going to try to Tornado out the Jax, who is the only unit that's threatening here. Did I get him? Yes, I did. Again, that's the only unit that's remotely dangerous here. Everything else is just tanks. Double Eternal Winters, which is kind of interesting. Not exactly sure how they ended up getting 2 Eternal Winters when they have no Ornn items listed as their augments. I don't know, maybe they got that out of the minion round? I'm not exactly sure how that happened, but anyway, even with that attack speed debuff, we had the Jax out of the fight. No one else on the team deals any damage whatsoever. And Jax is going to be the last unit left alive, but we've got Aphelios CC, we've got Sejuani CC. I think Sedge got off like 3 different ults in that fight. Or maybe, I think I got off 2 ults, and their Sejuani got off an ult as well. So we're going to win and ultimately knock that person out of the lobby. And now we're just going to look to go to level, just try to go to level 9. All right, so we're going to find an Urgot here, and I was like, Now, do I play the Urgot or do I play the Aphelios? I think I play the Aphelios. Again, I do value having the Sure Shot trait, getting that little additional damage, and the Aphelios, I have Aphelios on the purple gun. The general perception in this patch was that the purple gun was still the strongest. It actually got nerfed in the previous patch, but still the strongest. So I'm going to keep him in for right now. I'm up against another set mech comp, so we need to try to Zephyr out the mech. Do we manage to do that? Did I hit this? Yes, I did. Look at the Zed positioning. The Hackerim's going to take him into the back line. It's like, oh, you want to play Misfortune? Oh, wait, no, I actually got the Riven. I did not get the set. But I am going to go and just take out the Misfortune, so that's pretty nice. Then we kill the Mordekaiser. He did get his ult off, but as soon as Misfortune's dead, there's really no damage in this comp. So, you know, that set is super tanky, unfortunately, because I missed my Zephyr there. But yeah, I mean, it's going to die eventually. So, yep, the value of the Hackerim getting into the back line and jumping on top of that Misfortune so she can't ult. Because not many people use the hacker trait in this set, people generally don't play around it as much as they should. So it is kind of a weakness of people not positioning appropriately to dodge the hacker. Also, that the hacker targeting is really weird. But that round it did what it was supposed to. Zed just runs in, kills the Misfortune. Boom, she never gets to ult, never gets to do anything. Okay, on this carousel, I wanted another frontline item, and out of the different options there, I'm like, well, of course I'm going to take the Shroud of Stillness. We're getting into the late game here, so late game Shroud's really, really good. And it's actually even better than normal here, because remember, I have Future Sight. I can always see who I'm going to be up against. So I have the perfect combo for Future Sight. I have both a Zephyr and a Shroud of Stillness. So the big question is, I know who I'm going to be up against in all these rounds. Can I position everything correctly? I have 3 things to position. I have Zed, who's got to get in the back line. I have my Zephyr, and I have my Shroud. So it's really important I hit all of those things. So does this work in this round? Yes, everything is perfect. The Shroud hits pretty much the whole team. The Zephyr hits the Viego, who goes flying up in the air. And the Zed right on top of the MF. Does she get to ult? Nope. Never gets her ult off in the fight. And with that being the case, this weird Anima Squad Viego really has not gotten a chance to do anything either, because he was not only shrouded, he was also, or not only Zephyr, he was also shrouded as well. So he gets off like one ult with most of his team already dead, and boom, we just absolutely annihilate that team. Pretty strong board. Like I think that was like 5 Anima Squad with Viego having an Anima Squad emblem. It's a little bit weird, but looked like it was working pretty well. But positioning. I knew who I was going to be up against, and I deployed everything the way that I wanted it to. All right, so we're back to the Wukong comp again. Wukong, Mech Wukong. So the big thing is we've got to get our Zephyr on the Wukong. Let's see if I can position the Zed correctly this time. I've been mispositioning the Zed over and over and over again. I keep having him go after that Draven that gets absorbed, but no, we want him on the right-hand side. That Gangplank is the only other unit that deals damage, so we want to take that out, make sure that we get this Zephyr in the right spot. There we go. Did we get the Wukong this time? And it looks like we did. Yep, that is perfectly positioned. Meanwhile, Zed is going to be in the back line. Now, he's actually on Malphite. 1-star Malphite, okay. But now he's over there on the GP, and that's the unit I wanted to kill. Wukong has come back down, but most of the team around him is dead at this point. Can we kill the Gangplank? Down he goes. Wukong is the last unit left alive, and I have my entire team hitting him. Wukong is ultimately still a 1-cost unit. Now, he's a 3-star, he's a 3-star with the mech bonus, but he still is ultimately a 1-cost unit, and that's going to be enough to win that round. I was hoping that we would outscale that unit over time, and it does look like we've probably outscaled that team over time. So these are really good wins. They're even better wins because I'm econing up to level 9. And if I'm winning rounds while I'm just pushing econ, that's a great sign. We should be able to get to level 9 in a couple of rounds. And then it's just, again, grab legendary units, see what we hit, stuff them in the board, make use of what we've got. So in bigger picture terms, this is kind of how you want to play a Laser Corps team. Now, of course, I've had some good luck in this game. I was able to make a Laser Corps emblem, get the +1 Laser Corps. That was big. I found the Aphelios at 1% odds. Like, obviously, that's not going to happen every game. But this is what you want it to look like when you're playing Laser Corps. Laser Corps does not cap out that high. It's more of an early and mid-game comp than a late-game comp. Unless, of course, you can make the 9 Laser Corps, which is ridiculous. But that's not going to happen very often. So it's really a comp about getting out in front of the lobby, playing tempo, getting ahead of the other team, and then using it to, try to get to level 9 quickly. So, like, look, that was a very early level 9. I actually do find Mordekaiser, but, like, who would I take out? I could take out the Senna, I guess, but then I lose the Sure Shot trait with Aphelios, so I don't think that's worthwhile. I don't think there's anyone... I mean, I could take out the Renekton, but Renekton is basically just in there to power up the Sejuani, so I don't think that's worth it either. So for the moment, he's just going to sit on the bench. All right, and now I'm going to try to get my Zephyr position. I actually miss. I was trying to hit that Aphelios. So say hello to Frontline Aphelios on this board. I was spending a little time working with my team, so I didn't have quite as much time to position. Amazingly, though, Aphelios actually does get his ult off before dying, even though he's right on the front line. Yeah, he actually does get his ult off. So he gets his ult off, followed by Urgot getting a tidal wave off, and then Sejuani getting her stun off. So our CC train is very good in this fight. And now Zed is getting on the back lines. Come on, we just need to get over to that enemy Aphelios. It is a 2-star Aphelios. There we go. Ooh, close fight. Close fight because I was not positioned correctly for that board. But yeah, ultimately, it's enough. Keep the win streak going. That's great. That's going to give me more gold to roll with. There's a misfortune, but nope, not playing that. Don't think we're going to hit 3-star Sejuani this game, but I do hit 2-star Urgot. That's pretty good. So he's actually going to get the... he's been getting the Chalice benefit. I think he has like 30% odds to get Treasure with every single unit hit as long as he's next to that Chalice. And I just got him in the center of the board so that he hits as much of it as possible. All right, we have cycled back to Wukong yet again. So you know the drill. We want to hit the Wukong with the Zephyr. Will this person actually position to dodge? Now, it's a ghost round, so they weren't positioning for me, but I believe I've hit the Wukong every single time I've hit this comp. And in the era where mech frontline is very popular, this is a weakness of the mech frontline, is that if you're playing solo frontline, whether it's like this person playing the Wukong or the many other people playing Set, it is vulnerable to Zephyrs. That is a real weakness, is you have to be careful when you solo frontline something. A Zephyr will take out that frontline, so you are vulnerable to that. And I don't feel like the people in this lobby did a particularly good job of working around that. All right, so I'm going to keep rolling here. Again, I'm seeing a lot of Sedges, and I was like, oh, 3 Leonas. Okay, well, that's Leona 2-star. I was like, that's probably better than the Aphelios. Aphelios has been great for my board, but you know what? Let's just play the Leona. Why not? I mean, I think that's worth playing. It does give us Aegis trait. So, and this other team is all magic damage. So that should be pretty good. Let's see if we can position for the corner. I remembered that this person had gone for the corner, and I was like, aha, I gotcha. I gotcha on your 3-star LeBlanc. So I'm not quite sure what this person's trying to do. They have 6 Urgots, which is kind of interesting, but I have 3 Urgots, so it's actually impossible for them to get Urgot 3-star. There's only 10 copies of Urgot, so the max that person can get is 7, because I have the other 3. And I don't really know what they were trying to do with their board. As I said, I think they were going for Urgot 3-star, but that was not possible because I already had the other Urgots. And yeah, we just bust right through that person, and that's it. That's going to be a win. Finish up the lobby on 80 HP in a like I said, a very relaxing, pretty comfortable win here, but still one that I wanted to showcase just because I think there was a lot of good stuff in terms of the positioning in this game. I had the future sight, so I knew who I was going to be up against. I had the Zephyr, I had the Shroud, I had the Hacker unit, so I was really, really working on getting all of those positioned correctly in each fight, and I think I did a good job in a lobby that was maybe not as tough as some of the others that you've seen, but hopefully it was still fun to watch. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, hope you guys enjoyed this. Until next time, take care folks, have a great week.